Very early, I decided I wasn't going to waste a minute of my life, and I haven't.
Karajan's Easter Festival in Salzburg was not the foundation, but the crowning achievement in a music empire whose basis he had laid 12 years earlier. Beginning in the early 50s, he traveled throughout Europe with the London Philharmonica. He desired to present himself as the logical successor to Furtwängler as Europe's leading conductor, and to remind people that he was the prime candidate to take over the Berlin Philharmonic. In the fall of 1953, for the first time in 12 years, Karajan conducted a concert with the Berlin Philharmonic. Music critics confirmed that he was the heir apparent, with praise such as, "Nowadays, Karajan has what is called staying power," or "the virtuosity of his musical range is practically unequaled." On November 30th, 1954, Wilhelm Furtwängler died unexpectedly at the age of 68. Karajan, in Rome at the time, received a request from Berlin to conduct the Berlin Philharmonic during a planned tour of the United States in 1955. He accepted the offer under the condition that he be named Furtwängler's successor as music director of the Berlin Philharmonic for life. The orchestra members voted unanimously for Karajan, who was thus able to negotiate his contract conditions with the city authorities from a strong position. Karajan now had the position he had been striving for since the mid-30s. The Berlin Philharmonic was able to begin its tour of the USA as planned, with its new conductor and under the patronage of West German Chancellor Konrad Adenauer, who considered the tour especially important for German-American relations. New York in late February 1955. The American organizers of the tour, who after Furtwängler's death had demanded that Karajan serve as conductor, did everything to ensure its success. On his arrival in New York, Karajan was clearly a little nervous.
To come to the United States. I am happy.
I'm happy to come to the United States and bring the orchestra to Berlin Philharmonic.
Karajan was delighted with his American debut with the Berlin Philharmonic, which had last toured the USA in the 1920s. But the opening concert in New York was accompanied by protests from the American Musicians Union and Jewish organizations calling attention to Karajan's Nazi past. Despite these protests, the tour proved to be a great success for the star orchestra from Berlin and its conductor. In the decades following their first tour of the USA, Karajan and the Berlin Philharmonic biographer describes it. In a way, the true center of Karajan's post-war career was London, where he made his concert debut in England, 1948, with the Philharmonia Orchestra, founded by Walter Legge, Karajan's British mentor, and the man who gave him his first recording contract after the war. Under Karajan, the orchestra gained an international reputation. Great Britain honored him with its highest decorations. The traveling conductor conquered the world, including China, which he toured for the first time with the Berlin Philharmonic in 1979. With Beethoven's Seventh Symphony, he won, as it were, the musical hearts of the Chinese. The traveling conductor was also a leading media pioneer. He was the first to discover the value of the visual media, films and television, for what he called the democratization of music. He produced and directed dozens of complete operas for screen and television. He was the first to use new technology for the mass production of music, and thus paved the way for others while establishing his own omnipresence. 800 than any other conductor, preserving his entire repertoire, his own musical museum for future generations. For Karajan, there was no conflict between music and business, music and technology. As one critic remarked, with the electronic media, he made Beethoven as well known as Karajan.
He's very market conscious and produces only what sells well. So there's a balance between what the public wants and what he does. And in that sense, he's the undisputed emperor of the media.
But Karajan was not only successful in the media business, he was also a committed teacher who devoted much of his time after the 1950s to training young conductors. He organized conducting competitions and courses in which he instructed his pupils in his art.
Zwingen Sie sich einmal einfach vollkommen einfach nur da den Takt durchzuschlagen. Sie werden sehen, es geht am allereinfachsten. Machen wir mal. 2. 1 von 2 nochmal. Nur dann geht es. So, 2 einmal. 1 von 2. 1 von 2. 1 von 2.
It has often been insinuated that these courses and the establishment of a foundation bearing his name were only self-promoting measures aimed at guaranteeing his fame after his death. But he did a great deal to help young musicians, among them violinist Anna Sophie Mutter.